Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Ask Amy. We have a great question today from Toni, and I chose this one in honor of back to school. Even though we haven't gone back to school yet, we're finding out who our teachers are today. It's a very exciting day in this house, and it's our last week of summer vacation here. So Toni has a question about her children who are teenagers and how to help them through the moods and feelings and emotions that they're going through. So let me read Toni's question. She says, how do you help your kids, mine are now teenagers, when they're having trouble with anxiety, panic, and depressed moods? My thinking gets really painful when my kids are hurting and they come to me for help. It's hard to not want to fix what they're going through. It scares me, especially since I have anxiety already myself, and I just need some advice. So I hear you, Toni. It's not easy when little people around you are suffering and not doing well. And I think in some ways this is the easiest question. It's very simple. But the answer may not seem that simple to you. It's really like, how do we help our children? How do we help ourselves? How do we help anyone around us? It all comes back to our understanding. When we deeply see how something works, and the something in this case is being a human being. So what's the blueprint? How are we all the same? How does it work no matter what? No matter what it looks like, no matter what it feels like, there's a consistent set of principles, and there's a human blueprint that we can come to know, that we can become more familiar with. And when we get a strong grasp on that, and that's not a great way to say it because it's not something that you grasp with strength, but when we have a grounding in that, when we understand it, when we become fluent in it, it becomes the most natural and easy thing in the world to help other people. You can't not help other people, even your own children, even when they're suffering, when you have a deep feeling for this understanding. Because again, look at the fluent thing I just threw out. If you're fluent in English and someone asks you, hey, how do you say, please pass the ketchup in English? You're not going to have any problem in the world answering that request. You just tell them how you say it, right? It's the simplest thing in the world. And it might feel like a stretch, but becoming fluent in how human beings operate, what anxiety is, where our emotions come from, what is true of us, what is not true of us, just that deeper blueprint, that deeper sense of how we all work. When we become fluent in that, as fluent as we can be, and it's just a metaphor. When we come to really kind of feel like we see something about that, you can't help but come from that place. So the first thing that would happen, Toni, is you would experience your own anxiety differently. Anyone, I mean, first of all, like I said, I hear you. When your kids come to you and they're suffering, I think it's really normal and natural to want to help them. You don't want to see them in that way. But anything we're ever doing, when we're in a clear mind, when we're coming from a calm place, a grounded place, we're going to be far better at it than when we're coming from anxiety. So just that alone, and I know you know that, when you're in your own anxiety, everything looks hard. And their anxiety or their moods are going to look totally different to you because you're in anxiety yourself. You can't help but see through that lens. So seeing more about how safe we are, how awesome this design is, this human being design that we've been given, that we are always okay, we are always well, we feel stuff, it shows up, it moves through us, and it moves on. And we sometimes get caught up in that, and we sometimes don't so much. And either way, it moves on, and more stuff comes in. The more we get a feel for that, how safe and awesome our design is, the less we get caught up in our own anxiety, because you just start to see, okay, feeling good, being at home base, that's my nature. Anxiety's not. And I know anxiety can only be one thing. I know it's never, ever, 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 ever caused by things happening out there. I know it's only and always ever caused by what my own mind is creating. That's it. One answer. That's it. So imagine, I'm not suggesting that most human beings or even any human beings walk around firmly knowing that all the time. But man, you can be on that learning curve. You can get a lot closer. We all can. And imagine what that does for you to be further along that path, to really know, oh, when I'm feeling scared or anxious or depressed, I'm just feeling the shadows of thought moving through me. My feelings are a perfect reflection 100% of the time of only the way that my mind is creating thought, like thoughts being created through me in that moment. Not of anything else, nothing else. Life becomes really simple. Imagine just really deeply knowing that. It's like, oh, okay, there's nothing in the world to be afraid of. It's a feeling, it's brought by a thought, and both are moving through, and everything's okay. And as that moves through, I'm going to see things in a completely different way. I'm going to come right back to home base, see things different. Things that look like problems are going to look different to me when I'm not caught up in anxiety. And that's kind of how it works. Now, if we really deeply see that, we don't find ourselves caught up in anxiety as much. Maybe for a short period of time, but you're not in it in the same way. It doesn't look real to you. You just see it for what it is. So it's almost like the pace of your river, the current in that river picks up, right? And you're just more resilient and you get through things faster and you feel it and then you're over it. And that's really what we mean by resilience, is seeing how all this works. So for you, Toni, when you're in your own anxiety and then a child comes to you, or a teenager in your case, who's anxious or depressed or complaining about something that happened at school or whatever, from your own anxious mind, it's going to look like, oh my gosh, this is not good. I need to find a solution to their problem, and of course, that's just what we're going to do. When you're in a calmer place, it's not going to look that way. You see their resilience. This is true for all of us. When we're at home base and we're seeing clearly, we see the resilience in others. So you would naturally be able to just point that out to them. You would say things to them like, it's going to be okay. Sleep on it, see how you feel later. Like, well, I don't know what you'd say, but whatever you say, it's just going to naturally kind of show up for you from a calmer place. And then even bigger than that, again, is you continuing to deepen your grounding in this, for you to become more fluent in how it works. Because you say, your thinking gets really painful and it's hard to not want to fix what they're going through. And as a mom and human being, I completely get that, and everyone does, I'm sure. And as someone who's always looking at deepening my grounding and what it means to be human, and has had a tiny, tiny little glimpse into that, I can hear that and say, well, why would you fix it? What is there to fix? There's nothing to fix. It's like trying to fix the rain that's happening in Texas right now. You don't try to fix the rain. You don't try to stop the rain. I mean, everyone knows that, just because we deeply, deeply know that human beings don't stop rain. We deeply know how that system works. When we more deeply know how our thought and emotion system works, that your teenagers are just fine. They just need to know that. They just need to not get themselves so caught up, innocently in their own feelings and their fear of their feelings and all this importance on the moods and all of that. And just know it's just like weather flowing through them too. Just like what's flowing through Texas right now. There's nothing to fix, and it wouldn't even occur to you to try to fix anything. Then when it's not occurring to you to try to fix things, again, it's a lot more peaceful in your head. And that's where your own common sense comes up. Your own parent intuition comes up and guides you. So everything gets far easier when we're fluent. And the more we can just see about what it means to be human, the easier everything gets, and the better you're going to be with your teenagers and with anyone, and with yourself. Your own experience is going to change. And when we talk about being human, the thing that's super awesome to see in that, and really, really important, is that it works one way for every single human on earth. And that has saved me many times when the thing, that I'm worried about is me or my children, because there's no exceptions. It's very hard, like you say, it's like, oh, it's my kids and it's all this, and that just gets us more in our heads, makes it a little harder to see. But remember, what we're talking about, there's no magic phrase that you need for your teenagers. There's no magic words that are going to change everything. It's about seeing more about what is true for all human beings, zero exceptions ever. That makes it really simple. It gives us a great, solid place to look. Let's see what's true of everyone. It takes us out of the equation. It takes our kids out of the equation. And that can only help because it just quiets our mind, quiets all that chatter and fear and worry and all of that. And it's like, oh, okay, we're just looking at a human blueprint here. And it applies to me and my kids just like it applies to everyone else. So I think that's awesome to just be able to look there and let that, again, simplify things and give us a safe place to land and a real grounding to look toward. So I hope this is helpful for you and your teenagers, Toni, and I hope that it's helpful for everyone out there listening. It really just comes back to us seeing it. When we see more clearly how we operate, where our feelings and thoughts come from, what's true of us, I can't stress enough how everything just gets easier. We just have a solid place to stand. We have a map, and that map is going to help us. It can't not help us to have an accurate map. So thank you so much for your question. And again, I'm getting great questions, but please, if you have questions, please send them to me at AskAmy at thelittleschoolofbigchange.com, and I'm happy to address them here. And I love this. I love these Monday meetings with you guys, and then I share the recordings of this in my newsletter on Thursday. And so many people are finding a lot of value in your questions. So please, feel free to send them my way. And I think next Monday is a holiday, so we'll skip a week, but I'll see you back here in a couple weeks for the next session. So thanks so much for being here. Have a great day.